Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Emmy the Cat Lady, and you join me back here at Caesar's tent. So we are ripping the Legion today because we're going to talk about another interesting character that has been involved with Caesar's Legion. I'm talking about Legate Lanius, the man, the myth, the monster, the butcher of the East. So who is Legate Lanius? We hear a lot about him, but we don't get to meet him until the very end of the game. Whichever kind of ending you choose to do, you're either going to be taking orders from him or you're going to be basically defeating him. And everyone's version of his backstory is different. So there's really very little actual verifiable information on this man's identity, but maybe that's the point. So let's see what we can learn. So we can ask Caesar about him, and his version of events is the most detailed and perhaps the most likely to have accuracy. Although it definitely could be exaggerated, embellished or completely fabricated. But the way Caesar tells it, Lanius was the greatest warrior of the Hydebarks tribe of Arizona. He single-handedly wiped out Legion patrols and held off Caesar's men for months. So when the camp was surrounded, the chief decided to surrender. Lanius flew into a rage, attacked his own tribe, killing 15 of them before he was subdued. So Caesar had him rescued and ordered his wounds to be treated, which apparently lost half of his face. And when he awoke, he was gifted a new helmet if he agreed to fight for Caesar. He accepted only if he was allowed to kill the surviving males of his tribe. Caesar allowed this for the adult males, but opted to keep the boys alive so that they could be trained and indoctrinated, because let's face it, it's easier to do that with children after all. And of course at one point we do know that Caesar was in the market for a new legate after what happened with the burned man. And interestingly, Legate Lanius is the only person in the Legion that's willing to speak Joshua Graham's name. I guess he thinks he's immune to the death penalty on that. So Lucius here.
It is a great honor for anyone outside the Legion to get an audience with Kaiser.
Super honoured, that's great. Can you tell me about the legate?
He's the best warrior in the Legion. A full legionary by the time he was 12. He's never lost a battle.
Yep.
Had the legate been in command during the Battle of Hoover Dam, the Legion would have won. I have no doubt about that.
There you go. So that doesn't really sound like what Caesar's version of events were that I just explained. So he was a full legionary by the age of 12 and never lost a battle, which is wild if it's true, but it probably isn't. So yeah, interesting.
Wale.
Yeah, same to you. So yeah, interesting. I don't know if Lopez can talk about him.
I suspect you'll be a valuable asset to the Legion, assuming you're really on our side, of course.
Yeah. You can ask him about Joshua Graham, but you can't ask him about the legate. But the legate doesn't really like Lopez and Culta, so interesting thing to note.
Some of the slaves.
But the slaves are talking about the burn man, which they also don't like. I believe we can also talk to Anthony, who, if I remember rightly, is the guy that's here at the arena. Nope, that's Otho. I don't remember where he is. But yeah, so Anthony does tell us a different story yet again. That it took years to conquer his tribe and the survivors were allowed to join the Legion, which is definitely not what Caesar explains. But it does seem kind of likely because most of the tribes that Caesar's Legion conquered were assimilated into the Legion. So it kind of makes sense that, you know, this guy maybe came out of one of those tribes and proved to be a great warrior, so he was granted the title and the fancy helmet and things. But if you speak to Joshua Graham about him, he knows nothing about him. He's never heard of him really, or he's kind of heard of him but doesn't know anything, which indicates that he came along after Joshua Graham's disgrace and downfall. But the Legion had conquered basically all of Arizona before Graham was burned and dropped into the Grand Canyon. So if this amazing warrior had joined in Arizona with such a dramatic backstory, Graham would have heard of it. He would have heard of him. So one possibility, and what most people seem to kind of agree, is that it's probably more than one person. It's probably a myth that's been kind of passed down to keep the Legion's morale up and to strike fear in their enemies. So perhaps he's more symbolic than real. Apparently, it's Ulysses that tells us this, I believe, that his slaves were blinded so that nobody could see his true face or learn that maybe he's not the person that's described in the myth. And he was conquering the East, defeating 19 tribes in total. 14 were assimilated and 5 were destroyed across Colorado and Utah before he was called here to the Mojave to lead the charge against the NCR and Hoover Dam as a replacement for the disgraced Malpais legate. So what do the myths say? First of all, he is brutal and ruthless. The name Lanius, which was obviously given to him by Caesar, means butcher, so that tracks. He is loyal only to Caesar himself, does not care for the Legion, although he is the one that would take over leadership of Caesar's Legion in the event of Caesar's death, which happens because you can arrange for Caesar to die and still work for the Legion, which is kind of interesting. But even some among the Legion kind of dread this happening. Volpes and Culta in particular, since he works as a spy and he works in the shadows, Lanius disapproves of his methods because he's a warrior. He believes that it should be a fair fight, opponent against opponent, and nothing sneaky or duplicitous happening in the background. So he doesn't like that. There is a really kind of interesting and horrific story that is actually quite common knowledge about the Legion and about Legate Lanius in particular, which was a ritual for punishing Legion that was deemed to be underperforming, called the decimatio, or decimation. So essentially the officer was executed in front of his men, and then every 10th legionary was to be beaten to death by his peers. So, you know, pretty horrific stuff really, and it's well known because Mr. New Vegas does report on this on the radio. So Lanius, he believes in direct action in terms of war and prefers opponents that he deems worthy of fighting against, so someone that's going to give him a challenge. And he does express disappointment that he's going up against General Oliver instead of Chief Hanlon, so he does seem to have some respect for Hanlon's abilities as a military leader and doesn't think that General Oliver is of the same calibre, so he's a less worthy opponent, which is interesting. So here he is, the man himself, or at least the current one. We can't actually speak to because I've turned combat AI off, but so this is him, and you do have the option of talking him down. It's a very hard speech check. You need speech 100, which is fair enough, because obviously this guy is a strong believer in what he's doing in the fight, because it's what Caesar wants, so that's what he wants. But you can convince him that if the Legion tries to hold the West, all of NCR's territory, it would overstretch the Legion and weaken them, risking a loss of power back in the East, because that's NCR's weakness, is that they control a lot of territory and they don't have what they need in order to kind of maintain it and to manage all that territory. So if the Legion was to take over, they would potentially run into the same issue. Yeah, it was nothing. So you can obviously fight him, but he's a tough one. Just to see, you know, the amount of hit points that he has. He is very tough. He can move a lot faster than you, even with his legs crippled. He's scripted to use healing powder and to run off to hide and heal his wounds and things during the battle. So you've got your work cut out for you if you choose this final boss battle to be won with weapons instead of words. So it's impossible to know exactly who this guy really is. It's impossible to find out if he is just one person or if subsequent people have held the title over the years and wearing the same helmet, which you can see it's quite fabulous. But it could be just a warrior chosen by Caesar to be held up as the example that all other legionaries should aspire to emulate. And it might not have been the same person all this time, but he's a formidable opponent, and his legend is probably what matters more than exactly who it is under the mask. You can even ask Ulysses about him in the Lonesome Road DLC, and he seems to give us the most accurate information, as well as a hint about how to talk him down at the end, which suggests that Ulysses has quite a good understanding of this man, of his mentality, of how he believes what he believes and how he thinks about things and how he approaches things. So he's a myth, a legend, an object to be worshipped and feared, but who he really is under the mask, we're never going to know, and that's the point. That's the point. He's a legend, he's a living legend, he's not supposed to be known to people, and that's the way he wants it, and that's the way Caesar wants it. So it's very, very interesting. Okay, so he's just going to kill these NCR guys. It's probably not going to end well for you, buddy.
Degenerate.
Okay. Hello.
And who are you to come before me? You bear the insignia of the bear, yet you do not wear it as a soldier of the West wears it.
Yeah, so yeah, you've got a few options there, and you can say maybe you're willing to listen to reason.
I see you fight with words, like all beneath the flag of the bear. Let us hope your skill with weapons proves greater.
So yeah, you can use a bunch of different things. You can, so the battle's decided, that's why I'm here.
So you seek quarter? Terms of surrender? Our roads into NCR are hung with the bodies of those who attempted to negotiate with us. Save your speeches. We will take Hoover Dam and move forward until our feet crush the setting sun beneath them.
Yeah, so he's just like, yeah, we've won, you've lost, so whatever, talking's not going to solve anything. So he obviously has a very firm belief that that's not how these things are ever going to be decided, but you can just be like, yeah, but the Legion have spent years trying to take Hoover Dam.
Hoover Dam has never seen the mass strength of the East. Only legates such as Graham, who deserve the fire Caesar blessed him with. Now I am here, and make markers of your people as the Legion carves its way west.
Yep, so what of the East?
You speak in circles. What of the East? I am the East, and I will prove it this day.
Okay, and if you need all of that to crush the West...
The victory here shall be swift. Our forces shall take the dam, secure it, then build a road west on the bodies of the NCR. The East will hold. Once across the Colorado, nothing to rival Hoover Dam remains.
You can say, well, except Vegas, and you can say it's not the strength of the West that will slow you, it's their weakness.
Your weakness? You seek to thwart me by claiming the Legion is too strong for you?
NCR's weakness is its size. It'll take your entire army to hold it.
That does not mean we would not succeed.
True, but moving your whole army west means losing the East. You can't hold both.
The East was a hard-fought campaign. Even now, Caesar drew too much of the Legion's blood needed there for this. Hoover Dam is but a place. I will not have it be the gravestone of the Legion, whether quickly, or as you describe, slowly, by attrition.
So, yeah, there we go. That's how you talk them down. You need speech skill of 100 to do it, which, to be fair, is very easy to achieve. In this game, because they took out the charisma multiplier, so it's very easy to achieve that and talk them down, and tell them, you know what, this is too much, you've bitten off more than you can chew, maybe you need to back off, but you can say, yep, there's victory and wisdom.
As for wisdom, there is wisdom in your words, woman of the West.
Yep.
Know that I shall return east. I shall not remain there forever. On that day, the strength of the bear shall be tested. If the West is one day filled with ones such as you, perhaps it shall be a worthy fight indeed.
There we go. That's what he wants. He wants a worthy fight that's not going to destroy the Legion. That, you know, and that's kind of how he approaches things. But he's not completely immune to reason and, you know, talking him down and saying, look, if you do this, you're going to lose what you've already achieved, you know, that kind of thing. So it's very interesting, but if you feel that war matters that much, maybe you'll see differently in time.
My coming would have saved you, set your people free in ways they cannot see. War would have tested them, broken the weak with its violence, yet allowing the strong to arise. Violence gave you that strength, awakened you. I can see it upon your face, where 2 bullets left their mark. Perhaps it is unfortunate Wolpex was not here to hear your words. Something tells me you would prove more than his match. Until the day when our armies meet again, NCR. I shall wait for you on the battlefield.
There we go. So, yeah, I thought it would be interesting to actually just hear from Legate Lanius, and that's how you talk him down. I think probably a lot of people have seen that, or done it themselves to kind of end the game, but I think it's very interesting because while, you know, he's painted as this brutal, ruthless warrior that would kill his own people rather than see them surrender and all the rest of it, but he's not completely feral. You know, he does have the ability to see reason and to maybe understand that what he believes might not be completely accurate, and that maybe he needs to rethink his perspective, and the fact that you can convince him to rethink things. I think that's really, really interesting. But yeah, it's one of these ones, and I think that's the thing that, you know, we can speculate on who he really is, but the point is that we're not supposed to know who he is. He's just this legendary warrior that is supposed to bolster the Legion and put fear in the hearts of anyone that would stand against the Legion, so that they're more likely to, you know, kind of capitulate and let the Legion do what they want. So yeah, interesting one. But let me know what you think in the comments. As always, I love to hear it, and I'll be back on Saturday with some more Wasteland botany, and I'll see you then. Bye.